Hey everyone, Coops here from the whole Box and Dice Dragon Ball Super Cross Worlds. Another booster box of set free, and if I could just actually get the knife to open it, maybe I'll just try it on the side. Actually, yeah, this is not working. Another set free booster box. We are giving away a SPR Kid Goku at the moment. It was one of our very first pulls out of the new set, so super pumped to be able to give that back to all you awesome people out there in the community. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Check out the Gleam link. Seen some pretty insane boxes. With the inclusion of foils, it's actually making the purchasing of a box like EV-wise pretty solid. We did some calculations. If you buy a case, you can do pretty well out of that. Here in Australia, maybe the pricing a little bit different stateside, but with foils going for about $5, you can get them for pretty consistently. Plus, your 7 SRs, even at like $10, you're in a real good spot, EV wise. Plus, obviously, you've got the guaranteed SPRs, SCR, and the God Pack in there as well. And we're going to start off with the Topo in our first pack there. We've got a Youthful Bulma, one of the 10k pumps. Oh, nice. Uncommon foil leader. And now rare is nothing to write home about. But we're seeing a lot of, I guess, market stabilization at the moment. I think what's really good about the meta at the moment is it's very healthy. I've seen the red, blue, black Marseille deck that did really, really well over here in Australia. And we got Flying Nimbus, and just got another one. Sick. Oh well, maybe. Hey, let me know in the comments. Would you like to do a second giveaway for a SPR Kid Goku? Yeah, like we saw blue black red Saiyan do really well. Obviously, it's the mask leader. I've seen Mira at locals on Tuesday night. One of the guys here, Philpsy, did a I guess it's Cell Chain Mirror. If you haven't checked him out, he does a weekly podcast or a fortnightly podcast, depending on time constraints, and I'm sure he'll be touching on the Mirror Cell deck, because it's a very solid deck. It really troubles Mecha Frieza, which I think obviously everyone's kind of looking for at the moment, as we get a Vegito leader. And there's just, like I said, there is so much out there. I still think aggro is very viable. I think there's some really solid, probably red-black aggro decks. Pan Rush is still very much a thing. I think you can also play Pan Rush with Mecha as the leader. I've seen mono red SS3. Oh, nice. Rebirth of Justice in foil and a Toa. Talking about Rebirth of Justice, I saw an updated Zamasu Fu list, which looked pretty funky. We tried that out very early on in the format. Against hand destruction, it really struggles. The Rebirth is like a kind of a cute trick, I guess, against Bloodlust, the whole sight unseen thing. But yeah, Son Goku as our rare. I think the deck definitely has merit, but any time where Cold Bloodlust is able to be pulled from life, it is a risky proposition to run a deck. We tried Goku Black Energy Burn, and that was really successful for us, but that's because the meta was moving away from Cold Bloodlust, so you kind of get that free reign. But then you do also have to have Android 13. You do also have to have, I guess, the objections or the Kais early to ramp you, and I think that's kind of what we're seeing with a lot of decks at the moment. There are some very powerful combos out there. I verse like veggies all the time online on Untap and stuff, and if you want a game, hit us up on Untap. I'm under coopsboxanddice there. And the deck is just, in my opinion, is just not good. It requires so much setup, so many cards you're afraid to charge, you're holding on to because you're waiting for another piece to them. And, I get what the deck is doing, and I'm seeing a lot of hand destruction right now. Oh, very nice. Speaking of veggies. I'm seeing a lot of hand destruction at the moment, and decks that are, like, we played Cell Absorption Set 2, that being run in the Mecha Frieza shell, which is pretty much what I did with our Control-esque hand rip kind of deck. But I think the meta is too fast for that now. I don't think you can afford, like, if you take a life to play Cell Absorption, like, comparatively to potentially playing March and putting 2 bodies plus drawing 2 cards, I don't think Absorption does enough for the deck anymore, and some of the hands are just massive. It's not uncommon to see 10 to 15 cards in hand, so that discard, oh nice, cool foil, and a Vegeta. That discard is not hyper relevant, I think, anymore, especially just because Absorption was printed in a time where I guess it was like still kind of in the set one extra card value vein. Oh, I'll just try and get a focus on that. There we go. So like at the moment you have like Rebirth, for example, that allows you to play +1, like a 5 for 4 plus a bounce or something. You know, March puts 2 bodies on the field and draws you 2 cards. I just feel like extra cards are kind of being made like that. More value is being added to them because you can't combo with them. They can sometimes be a dead card. And obviously, you know, everyone looks for Mecha Freezer straight away when we get a new extra card to see if they can break it. You know, even stuff like Dark Plot that we just saw. But I think some of just the set 1, there's a Boo, set 1 and set 2 extra cards that aren't just like the 1-cost stuff. I think sometimes they can fall behind the value-wise, and you know, even like the turn 2 kill aggro decks, I still think are very relevant, as we've got a mirror on the back of this one, because the reality is, like, if your opponent doesn't have, oh, why is there focus playing up? There we go. If your opponent doesn't have the answer, then you just kill them, you know. And understand Shigesh into Kid Goku is a thing, but you know, it's a 4 and 4 in a deck, and I'm seeing lots of decks just get steamrolled because they've got a lot of eggs in that basket. You know, they have a lot of eggs in that if we don't have a negate, we've got Kid Goku into Shigesh, and sometimes the reality is that you just don't have Kid Goku into Shigesh. As we get a quick rush Trunks on this one. I'm really sorry about that. I don't know why the focus is so screwy on this. Normally, yeah, there we go. It's just like the way the camera lens is positioned sometimes, like it's just 5% off to the side and it doesn't want to grab the focus. Nice, Family of Justice. And, you know, like other decks I saw as well, you know, there are definitely, like, that aggro decks that are using Mecha Freezer and using Shigesh to, like, spew out MC Gohans and stuff. Like, that looks like a lot of fun. You know, but even also decks that, for example, Bardock, and using cards like old Ginny Weasley that we just saw, you know, empty your hand, get free stuff out, get cheap cards out, 15 and foil, nice. And Son Goku. And then what you can do is obviously use Shigesh into MC Gohan. You can play some really powerful stuff. Obviously, and I hope this was intentional, there's no benefit, like Pan is red leader specific, whereas Shigesh is yellow, so you can't get kind of like the stupidness of like swinging with Pan, or swinging with the card combo and getting Pan out, but also you do get the benefit of Reliable Trunks. You do get the benefit of actually giving your card Battle Strike. So if you Double Strike during battle. So if you swing in with a card combo, play something like a Pan, yes, you don't get the 5k pump boost and the Double Strike to your leader, but it's actually a way that you can give, you know, it's almost like a Furthering Destruction kind of thing, plus it pumps the rest of your board. So I think there's a lot of really clever lines that people are working on at the moment, because it's a very triangular meta, you know, X is beating Y and Y is beating Z and vice versa. And I think it's an issue. Like, I'm seeing a lot of like player skill is coming down to it at the moment as we, oh nice, get a UI Goku. You know, like I played a deck recently with Ultra Instinct, and we did it with Mecha Freezer, and we used Objection to ramp into Rebirth, and then, you know, Sensor Beam to refresh 2. We played the 7-drop and killed him with Triple Strike. You know, there are just so many different builds that are going around at the moment, and I really like that we are kind of heading towards player skill as the determining factor, because just previously there were decks you just couldn't compete with value. You know, decks were just outvaluing other decks, and we are definitely moving away from that, I feel. You know, like very appropriate meta call 3 and 4 of like Haro Haro that we just saw are the cards that are, you know, winning matches. Like, there's the interaction you've got in the red decks with Haro Haro and Trunks, you know, playing the 15k, refreshing 3 energy, and it's a very, very clever play. You know, you can even do it just for 4. You can play Quick Rush and then evolve Trunks over the top, play Haro Haro, refresh 3, you know, obviously leader dependent for your opponent. But there's just, I really do like, you know, I was very worried, to be honest, like seeing some of the set 3 stuff, and obviously Apes is still, I think, a very, very strong deck. I play a version of Apes that plays just the 8, so just the 4 Dash and 4 Tournament 3 promos, and then you also have 2 of the 5 drops and 3 of the King Vegeta searches, and the rest of it's pretty much just defense. And I don't run encouraging presence, and it's really just like an attrition deck, and you have 4 copies of Nimbus, and you really just lock your opponent down whilst denying them cards with critical and double strike. So Nezzy's going to be the last foil, and we get a Zamasu as our last rare. So not a bad box, this one. Like, we did pretty well. We got some, obviously anytime you get an SPR is super, super solid. But hit us up in the comments. Let me know how your pulls are going for set 3. Is there a deck you'd like to see me do a profile on? Is there a deck you've been having a lot of success with? Because set 3, I think it's it's definitely shaping up to be a really cool way to like relaunch Dragon Ball. Obviously, the end of the Tournament of Power in the show is coming, and I'm very interested to see how that finishes. I thought it was really cheap bringing back 17. Sorry, spoilers. Should have said that first. 17 and Frieza together. I was like, I understand that 17 technically wasn't dead, and then you show him dying, but I feel like you could have had 2. Like, Frieza could have came back, and then 17 could have came back, because everyone kind of knew Frieza was still there, but all the people that are like, I knew 17 wasn't still dead. Come on, man, like, you're kidding yourself. But this one was a pretty sweet box, so thank you again for taking the time to watch this one. Hit the thumbs up button if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you are new. Check me out on Patreon if you want to support the channel, all the other socials. My name is Coops. This is the whole box and dice. Peace.